delegate, and Josie, Luetke from Campaign Light Coalition. Again, welcome. Cindy, are you timing?
To the esteemed trustees, staff, and other attendees, thank you for this opportunity to reschedule my dental appointment so I can once again address the harms of the pride flag. My name is Josie Luetke. I am still the Director of Education and Advocacy for Campaign Life Coalition, and I'm here representing thousands of our supporters in the region. On their behalf, I'd like to humbly request that you do not amend the current flag policy to permit the flying of unspecified additional flags outside of Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board buildings. I was dismayed that the majority of trustees voted against a motion to explicitly exclude the flying of the pride flag. As I've said before, those who are experiencing same-sex attraction or are struggling to accept their God-given sexual identities as male or female absolutely deserve love and respect, just as everyone else does. And when you love someone, you seek the good for them. You seek for them to grow in virtue and that they might conform themselves ever closer to Christ, for it is to his kingdom that each of us are called, and that requires transformation and conversion of heart. It is because I deeply love those who misguidedly identify as LGBTQ that I so strongly reject the pride flag and the ideology that it propagates, and I'm not alone. Courage International is a Catholic apostolate ministering to those who experience same-sex attraction and aiding them to live chastely, just as we all must do. The former executive director of Courage, Father Philip Bochansky, has warned against the pride flag, saying the assumption would be that it's being used, quote, in order to identify with a community of people who generally are not following the church's teaching about sexual morality in this area, and generally not talking about chastity, generally are engaging in same-sex relationships, unquote. He has said that we have a, quote, responsibility to give good example to others, unquote, and that, quote, it would be probably better, in most cases, to stay away from labels or symbols that can be misinterpreted, unquote. Hudson Biblo, who himself once identified as gay and then trans, has written, quote, the ideology that the rainbow flag symbolizes caused me to believe that the world was far more compassionate than the church. Today, I see it as the complete reverse, unquote. He talks about his pursuit of chastity, temperance, and other virtues has given him great joy and allowed him to rediscover his value and worth. He writes, quote, the ideology underlying the rainbow symbolism rejects these very fundamental moral principles that are responsible for the peace I experience today. His Grace, the Most Reverend Archbishop Francis Leo, just released a letter in which he writes, quote, in this month of June, let us be reminded that the most Sacred Heart of Jesus represents our public witness of love, care, acceptance, and redemption. It is the only symbol we need in reaching out and assisting our contemporaries, men, women, and children, in better understanding and deeply experiencing the life-giving power of Christ's personal love for them. I wholeheartedly appeal to you all, Catholics throughout our blessed Archdiocese. Let us prefer Christ to politicization, devotion to guile, grace to odium, truth to ideology. Last year, he wrote, quote, symbols carry meaning and are powerful in conveying truths and inspiring to action. For Catholic Christians, the crucifix and the Sacred Heart of Jesus are the authentic and unsurpassed symbols of love, welcoming, and compassion, unquote. Prior to that, His Eminence Thomas Cardinal Collins had released a statement in which he too said, quote, the appropriate symbol that represents our faith and the inclusion and acceptance of others is the cross, unquote. He also said, quote, practically, we also know that there are any number of groups working to advocate for many diverse causes. For this reason, many school boards wisely fly only the Canadian flag out of a sense of equity for all. There is a belief among some that unless one embraces secular symbols, one cannot be inclusive or accepting. This is simply not true. Where there are cases of injustice and mistreatment of any student, whether they are bullied or rejected due to their sexual orientation, appearance, race, sex, or any other reason, we must seize the moment, address the situation, and ensure that we lead by example as we foster a culture of care and love for every individual. That truth is perfectly represented in our most fundamental Catholic symbol, the cross, unquote. Again, I would urge you to vote against changing the flag policy to permit the flying of additional flags. However, should you choose to change the policy anyway, then I would posit that it be appropriate to fly a flag with the Sacred Heart of Jesus during the remainder of the month, as per the expressed wishes of His Grace, the Most Reverend Archbishop Francis Leo. I would also request that the pro-life flag be approved so that it may be flown during the month of May. Should the board nevertheless choose to fly secular, ideological flags instead of ones compatible with the Catholic faith, I would hope that would prompt you to reflect on and reconsider your priorities as Catholic trustees or staff. Voters will certainly be doing so. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Luetke. Okay, we do need to hear the delegates here as well as the trustees.